Hey, it's Wendy here again from Toonpish Crafts, and I hope you're doing okay. Now, I have been wondering if you can mix up colours together. When you're using flakes, usually they're in like chunky flake pieces. Well, I figured if you grind them down and mix them with another chunky flake, you could possibly make your own colours. It's an idea I wanted to try out, and as luck would have it, I have a pestle and mortar set that when I bought was tiny. And it's been sitting in a drawer for 2 years, not used, because it's tiny. But I think it's going to work for this. So let's have a try. So this is the mould I decided to use. It's a skull box mould. Nice detail and just a plain box. I'm going to make the plain box with polyurethane resin. It's black and it's from MB Resin, and I'll put the link for that in the description box below. And I'm just going to pour black into this base, and that's all I'm going to do to it. It's just going to be a black box. Very simple, very quick, and because this cures in 40 minutes, I can demould very quickly too. And as luck would have it, I made exactly the right amount. Go figure. So 40 minutes later, I can demould. And I must say, this MB resin is particularly nice to use. It is silky when it's completely cured. Absolutely beautiful stuff. And jet black. Well, I'm happy the way it's came out. It is very basic, as I said, but it works. It's got a lovely shine to it. Now this is the pestle and mortar. As you can see, it is teeny tiny weeny. Absolutely diddy. No good for the kitchen, which is what I bought it for. But it should work nicely. For crunching up these three colours, we have Elf, Gin and Wisp. Two of them are Ethereal flakes and the other is a Chameleon flake. And I thought they would complement each other in some way. I just thought they would go well together, kind of. And it will be interesting to see if they take together, if they work together, and what they do together. That gin is absolutely stunning, but it is kind of a fluffy flake, more of a powdery flake than a flake, if you catch my drift. Not explaining that very well. But I just crunched them up with this little pestle and mortar, and I just keep going and going and going. Now I did think to myself, there's going to be nothing left at this rate. They are diminishing, they are vanishing in front of my eyes. But of course they're turning into a powder, and a powder is going to be less volume than a flake. I grabbed an empty elf pot and I poured the powder in. Now I use the elf pot because the elf colour is actually in here, and all that's left in that pot is dust. And I figured a little bit more elf wouldn't hurt. So this is my first attempt at mixing three colours into one, and they are kind of like mica now, just like dust. So I taped up quite a bit of the mould with painter's tape so that I didn't contaminate the rest of the mould. I do like to be quite liberal with the colours that I'm using, so by taping up the rest I can be pretty much as brutal as I want with that brush. It looks very blue, this mix. Now gin is very purple and the other two are ethereal powders. So where the blue come from, I'm guessing it's the wisp. But it's just the fact that they're mixed together. But it is quite intriguing. I must admit, I like the colour. But we have to see how it works when it's done. Now because I didn't want to get this colour mixed up with the rest, I put a big black X on the top so I know it's a mixed colour. Take off the tape, and then I can use that tape to get rid of all the powder that's on top. I only really wanted to colour the flower part itself, so all the rest can come off with the tape. And I might as well use the tape that's already there. Saves tearing off another piece. I've already got tape, so yeah, let's not waste it. So it looks purpley blue, but we won't really know what it does until it's got black behind it. I decided to do another one, so I'm going to mix up Phoenix and Pixie. Phoenix is a copper colour, beautiful bright copper, very autumny. It's got some gold in there too. And Pixie is an ethereal pinkish colour. And I wondered what they would do together. Let's find out. Again, I started mixing. I could see very quickly that the colour you could see was the Phoenix, but then the other one is Ethereal. You are not going to see it at all, but it does look kind of pink. I found a small clean pot, again one that I had used, but I have cleaned this one out. And the small amount of dust that was left, I didn't think would colour anything, to be honest. This is a tiny amount of dust, but like I said, it's going to reduce because the flakes take up more room. But that's how much colour there is. Again, I covered up the mould where I didn't want any colour to go. Just left the areas where I want the colour. I'm going to do the flowers, the outside edge and the teeth in this, if I have enough. Now, I was quite surprised actually how little you need, but these are Emma's colours. You don't need very much at all to colour in any area. They are super pigmented and that is definitely pink to me. Now, I assumed that the ethereal colours you would not see in the mix, but as they're being mixed with a colour, I'm guessing it shows up their own colour more. Does that make sense? Because you put colour behind an ethereal colour and you can see the colour. Whereas if it's no colour behind it, it looks white. So as it's mixed with a stronger, darker colour, the pink is going to show through. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think? Does that make sense to you? It's definitely pink though. And I thought Phoenix was going to be the dominant colour here, but you can't really see it at all. It looks pink, and that's pretty much it. I'd be interested to see how this one comes out when it's got black behind it. Again, it's going to get a big black cross on it, and I've hardly used any of that powder. I'm going to have a good clean up, and look at those teeth. How cool is that? I'm not going to mix any more colours up. I think 2 amounts is enough for the first trial. So I'm going to use the same colours that were mixed in the rest of this piece. I'm just going to spread them all out before I push any of them down. Therefore I can get a kind of a gradient feel about it. But this Phoenix is a stunning bright colour. That should make quite a statement in those eyes. And I'm just going to put in all the other colours that I've used in the rest of this piece, just randomly placed. I know where the trial colours are. They're the flowers at the top and the teeth. All the rest are bog standard flakes, if you can call Emma's colours bog standard, of course. But it's definitely going to be bright and colourful, this. I just want to say a huge thank you to all my subscribers. Thanks so much for commenting and for watching my video week after week. It's been, I think, a few years, 3 years now I've been a YouTuber, coming up to my anniversary at the end of August. Is it 3 years or is it 4? You know, time goes so quickly, and I'm nearly at 30,000. I said that last week and I'm still nearly at 30,000. So thank you so much, all my subscribers and the wonderful people that come into my live chat and chat to me. Thank you so much. I'm not going to name names. You know who you are, and I appreciate every one of you. If you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so. It doesn't cost anything and it will help my channel out enormously. But thank you so much. And hello to all my new subscribers too. And don't forget to go and check out toonpish.com. It's a work in progress. It's only a year old. And so far there's quite a bit on now, but it's growing. All my discount codes are on there, so if you're looking for a discount code, it's definitely the place to go. Once I've put all the colours down, it's time to stamp them into the mould. So I'm just using a soft makeup brush and I'm pushing all of the flakes into the mould, and then I give it a huge clean up. So all the indentation areas are coloured. The rest of the mould is colour free. And I want to colour it, but I want it to be a completely neutral or opposing colour. So I've decided to use Starlight. Again, an ethereal colour from Emma's range. Don't have to use these colours, it's just the colours that I like to use. And I'm going to colour the rest of the mould in the Starlight, which is a gold colour. Now, of course, I'd like to use white, but white with black behind it just goes grey, and this will stay bright. I've mixed up some more polyurethane resin and I've put it into a needle top bottle and removed the needle. This is so I can get the black polyurethane into all the little areas without getting trapped air. Now I am sacrificing this bottle, and unfortunately I didn't make enough, so I needed to do it again. So I used a bigger bottle, again with the needle removed, but at least it should stop the trapped bubbles, because in this type of mould there's lots of 90-degree angles where air is going to get stuck. No matter what resin you use, it's going to get stuck. And if you're using black, you cannot see where the bubbles are. So I figured sacrificing a bottle or two would work wonders. And it actually did work really well, I have to say. You can see the end result later. There's hardly any. And this would have been full of bubbles if I hadn't have done it like this. If I'd have just poured black, you would have got trapped air everywhere. Once I'd done all the indentation areas, then I could just go over the back with another lot of black polyurethane. It doesn't matter if the first lot's nearly cured, it will adhere to itself. I'm dribbling in the black in the clear areas again in case I trap any air. I don't want to do it at this stage, I just want a nice flat surface at the front. Now there was one part that you'll see later that I messed up. I'm going to explain about that later. Once I've covered all the mould, it looks messy, but it won't at the end. I can just completely pour the black over all of it and it looks flawless. You wouldn't even know that all that effort had gone in underneath it. Now there is one thing about polyurethane, you can't use a lighter on it. I've never tried, but apparently it's flammable, so don't use a lighter. You can, however, use a heat gun to get rid of any bubbles. I have no idea what that was floating in there, but it came out, made sure of that. And I used the heat gun on a low cool setting to get rid of any bubbles that were floating to the top. Now this is where I messed up a little. This was only about an hour later. I should have left it to cure up a bit more because part of the teeth hadn't quite cured, and that's my own silly fault. It was a thin amount of black resin that went into the little areas, and yeah, I didn't realise that they hadn't quite cured because they were thin. I should have left them. It doesn't look too bad here, but as I handled it more, it got worse. But I do like those bright colours. You can see the pink and the blue that I crushed together and made. They come out absolutely stunning, and they're definitely pink and blue. I had, I think, 2 bubbles, but the issue was the teeth area. Lesson learned, I should leave it to cure more if it's polyurethane and very, very thin. Doesn't quite fit the base at the moment, but it needs a little bit of a trim up at the back. I think I over poured it slightly, and this is when I realised those little bits were still wet. But I trimmed up the back and it fitted beautifully. But you can see the little bit of the green leaf and the teeth where I had handled the piece and not realising that they were still soft. I also thought it was a bit awkward to open and close. Ah, that's the thing though. Didn't realise that. Well, better late than never. Now I did want to give it a nice shiny finish, so I decided to cover the front in UV resin. This was going to be quite an epic cover because it's quite a big skull and quite a large area to cover in UV resin. But I gave it 2 coats and that gave it a beautiful finish. Well, I now know that I can mix flakes together and turn them into a kind of powder. The colours are beautiful regardless of whether they were mixed or not. The Ethereal definitely stayed a dark colour. They didn't act like normal Ethereals when they were mixed with a dark colour. Perhaps I should try just Ethereals on their own. Regardless, I really enjoyed making this. I put my own logo on the bottom on some cork with my laser, and I have a beautiful box at the end of it. I hope you've enjoyed this and I hope you got something out of it. Come back and see me next week because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting and bye for now.